now have more data being created by sensors and things. You know, if it moves, it's connected.
But even if it's sitting still, a building and it's got light switches and light fixtures and plugs and heating, ventilation, cooling systems, refrigeration units, those are all smarter now, right?
They are. I should have said not so much if it moves, it's connected, but if it changes in any way, whether it changes in temperature, whether it changes in size and location and energy consumption, you know, if there's anything to be instrumented, it's being connected. And in fact, there are new kinds of data, what I just started calling ambient data, that are out there that we hadn't realized. So one example is a new product that uses the individual signatures of electricity consuming devices to be able to collect and understand which devices are consuming more energy, even though you're not directly connected to all of them.
So energy devices have their own signatures?
They have their own signatures that can be detected on a wireless sensor device.
Do they say, if you care about the environment, don't print this? No, that's a different guy. What does that mean? So you can detect those, and then what gets to happen?
Well, as a user, for example, a household owner, I get to look at where my energy consumption is coming from. I have certain assumptions. For example, I shouldn't admit this, but we used to have this really old refrigerator in our basement, and it made a racket. And I was absolutely convinced that it was an energy hog. We needed to get rid of it. And so I bugged my husband mercilessly, and of course he finally went out and got meters and measured everything. It actually turned out to be pretty energy efficient. So we make assumptions about where our energy consumption is going, and we could be wrong about that.
So you talked here at the Verge San Francisco conference about the human face of big data. Talk about what does that mean?
Big data is often seen as being in the purview of the propeller heads, right? It's databases and big systems, and what does that mean to me, you know, being someone who's in medicine or in social work, or
just a citizen.
Just a citizen, right? My mother, you know. And the question was, how can we articulate to people what big data can really mean, what it means now, but also get an insight or foreshadowing of where big data is going to be taking us, because it really is affecting our lives. And many people think it may have as big a transformative effect as the internet itself did.
So when you say big data, where it's going and how that transforms our lives, give me an example.
Oh, well, gosh, there's so many. Where to start? I think one of my favorites is looking at disease. So we have a very many centuries of understanding of just looking at disease migration patterns from which we've been able to infer information about the disease and its source. But now we can do so much more. We can look at the way people are moving around, how they communicate with other people and how they're connected. We can look at epidemiological data and combine it with the individual medical histories of individuals around the world. And in fact, some of the technology that we have today, of course, is what was able to staunch some of the potential outbreaks of certain viral diseases. But the work now is actually combining things like Twitter data with blood analysis from bushmeat, which is, wild animals caught from the forest for eating, and together with scientific data to be able to say, gee, there's a potential here for outbreak. We need to look before it really happens.
I admit to not having many conversations about big data that include the term bushmeat.
That's what big data is, transforming everything.